If I was your interviewer and I was looking through your application and saw some of the stuff that you've done, I'd be all over that. I'd want to talk about those things. Well, good morning, Will. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Dr. Wright?
I'm doing great. Where are you calling us from?
I'm currently from Long Beach, California, so LA area.
Okay, so it's kind of early there.
Yeah, not too bad though, not too bad.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you for joining us today on Am I Ready? We're gonna poke around in your Mapped account and look at things, and I'll try to ask questions, and I want you to be willing to, give information and stuff as you see fit, and hopefully we'll come to some conclusions at the end of our time together with about my thoughts on your preparation and how you're moving forward and stuff like that. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. So we're going to look at your Mapped account, and we'll first look at your GPA and your graph there. And so I see now, I see that your cumulative GPA is 3.75, your science GPA at 3.67, and you've got a nice upward trend in this graph, even though you're, none of the semester GPAs are bad. I mean, the worst I see is like a 3, looks like a 3.35. And but then there's this nice upward, kind of trajectory, and we get to the last, looks like 3 or 4 semesters or quarters or whatever, and you've got 4.0s, so that's really awesome.
Yeah, I started off college. I think like a lot of students still getting the grip on my study.
Right. Yeah,
studying and whatnot, but I think towards the end of my third year or middle of my third year, I finally got the hang of things.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Now, what's your major?
Biology, just
biology major. Yeah, that's awesome. And you're at Cal State there in Long Beach?
I actually go to UC Irvine.
UC Irvine. Okay, yeah. Awesome. That's
Anteaters.
Awesome. Oh, that's your mascot?
Yeah, the anteaters.
Okay, there you go. Well, whatever it takes, right?
There we go.
There you go. Well, this is really great. I like seeing the upward trend, and that's fantastic. Your cumulative and science GPAs are, really, good, strong. That's excellent. And in particular, the last several, I guess you guys are on the quarter system, right?
Yeah, we're on the quarter system.
So the last several quarters have really been strong for you, and that's really particularly good because you're probably taking quite a few science classes all at the same time. Is that right?
Yeah, the last 2 years mostly been just straight science classes.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So good for you. Well done. You're doing the right thing in terms of the coursework, and your ability to do well in the classroom is a very important aspect of your medical school application. And so this is fantastic. So let's look at Mapped. If you'll scroll down and scroll down to where we see MCAT scores right there, and looks like that you've done, I guess, is that a practice test from the September, or is that a real test?
That's a real test, yeah.
Okay, excellent. So how do you feel about that score, 512?
Yeah, I was, when I first got the score, it was a little lower than I wanted. I think, that's a lot of people's reaction.
Right.
But I think I didn't want to take it again like a lot of students, but I think the main reason why I chose not to retake it was because my bio section on the MCAT kind of helped push my score above that 510
Yeah.
percentile.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So that was definitely your strongest score. Was that a 131, looks like?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So that's very strong sub score. 512 is obviously it's now let me ask you this: were you when you were doing practice tests, was that where were you scoring, kind of averaging on those practice tests?
Um, Looking back, I was scoring around the 510 to 515 range,
Uh-huh.
and I was hoping to get at least like a 515. But when I went back and averaged out all of my practice scores, it was around a 512. So it was
Okay.
pretty telling of what I was going to get on test day.
Yeah. So, well, the good news is that you definitely scored in the range of what you were doing in the practice test, and I think that a 512 is a good score. So I would not call it a great score, but it is not a bad score at all, and I think it's definitely, I think getting above 510 is going to be was a kind of crucial point. And so combined with your strong coursework, then I think you're doing pretty good. Okay, so Will, we're looking at your activity hours now. We're transitioning a little bit after some tech problems, and so hence you're in a different location. So, but we're all good to go now. But so we see a lot, quite a few activity hours. 2,856 is listed on your mapped account. And we're going to look at each one of these. So if you kind of go over to your tab, there you go, the activities tab, and click there, and we'll sort of talk about this a little bit. So why don't you kind of walk us through this a bit?
Yeah. So I guess I'll just start from my earliest activity.
Yeah.
So the one with the most hours, my earliest one is non-clinical employment. So I was working at a local park as a recreation leader.
Yeah.
And essentially I just ran several programs with like after school programs for kids. I ran or supervised different sports league games, the facility rentals, uh,
Mm-hmm.
basically just interacting with the public on the park every day.
Yeah. And you've done that for a long time, since
Yeah,
2017.
yeah. Since the start of college, it's been my main point of income, I guess, as
Yeah.
a college kid. Um,
Yeah, it's great. You enjoy it, I'm assuming.
yeah, yeah. It's satisfying being able to just get out and talk with the public every day. I guess just get to
Yeah.
know people and
Yeah.
the kids from the community. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Yeah, well, let's move up from there. Looks like, tell us about what health scholar means. What is that?
Health Scholar, it's basically just clinical volunteering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I started that as well my first year of college, and it got cut off during COVID. But
Right.
it's basically my main clinical experience.
Mhm.
I shifted on like the different departments at a local hospital, so like the ER, ICU, uh, telemetry departments, and it was
Mhm.
pretty cool because I got to interact with the physicians directly as well as the nurses and patients.
Right. And so you've been doing that sort of off and on throughout, I guess, since 2018. So is that sort of an every week thing or every other week thing, or how often do
Yeah,
you do that?
when it was going, it was an every week thing. So it was like about 4 hours a week,
Uh-huh.
or more that I would do.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
And patient contact in that activity?
yeah. So yeah, it was direct patient contact. I would, I would help feed patients, ambulate them with the
Mhm.
nurses,
Mhm.
things like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. It sounds like a really great experience that you've been having. So I'm sure that you were pleased with that and that energized you a little bit. I take it.
Yeah, that's what kept me going towards the pre-med path, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
So that's 300 hours of direct patient contact, clinical activities and stuff. So you have a pretty good idea of what the healthcare setting looks like, at least in a hospital setting, and kind of what doctors and nurses and other healthcare providers do. And so that's great. So looks like you've done a little bit of e-shadowing. I guess that's with Dr. Gray on his e-shadowing thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so
That was
that's
a
cool.
Yeah, it was a
Uh,
lifesaver during COVID.
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I think a lot of students have felt the same way. Now, tell us about being a life coach. That seems very interesting to me.
Yeah, so the name is interesting in itself, but it was actually I was working with adults with developmental disabilities. So it was mainly going to a day program and working with the same individuals every day on different goals they have set out for themselves, and
Yeah.
we would take them out on outings to like parks or malls, and
Hmm.
go into the community with them, and that's basically what the role was, and it was called life coach.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you enjoyed that, I'm sure.
yeah, that was one of my favorite experiences. It wasn't clinical, but it was still, I think, one of the most fulfilling
Oh yeah.
jobs
Yeah.
that I had.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Now, is there other shadowing that you've done besides the e-shadowing, or just is that the only shadowing you've?
That unfortunately, that's the only shadowing I've gotten
Okay.
done. I was planning to get it done, or I was planning to start shadowing my third year
Hmm.
of college,
Hmm.
and then
COVID hit.
pandemic. But
Right.
yeah, so that's one thing I'm a little worried about.
Yeah,
Application.
sure. Yeah, and I think you're in the same boat as a lot of other students. The pandemic kind of hit everybody by surprise and it's shut everything down. And so, I think you've got a lot of good with the health scholar position. You've got a lot of good clinical hours, and you've tried to do as much as you could in terms of e-shadowing. So that's been helpful, I'm sure. And so I think that looks, I mean, I understand your concern about that, but I would say, pretty much every other applicant's going to be in the same kind of situation. And so, you've done basically what you could do in terms of that. So, anything else that you would like to, talk about or mention on this page? Is there another page? Because see,
Uh,
you've done research as well, and that's in school, right?
yeah, so actually, I'm currently still doing research. It's funny because it's a vaccine research and development lab at
Oh, wow.
yeah, and I was there right as COVID hit, and that I had to go home because they weren't letting undergrads
Right.
come in, but eventually they let me back in, and we were working uh, on COVID-19 actually.
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Have you enjoyed the sort of research, part of all of this? And was that something that do you like it enough that you think maybe research might be a part of your future?
I definitely see the importance of it, of course, and it's uh, I like it a lot. I just don't know if if I'll be able to it'll be something I'll look for
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
future. It's uh yeah, I like interacting with people, and I feel like in research that it's just you and the bench most of the time. So
Right. Right. Yeah. Kind of for somebody that's a real people person and gets a lot of their energy from interacting with other people. I can totally see that would be the case. So yeah, I get that. Is there another page here or anything else that
uh
you would like to mention? Looks like you've been in some teaching staff as a tutor.
yeah, I was a I guess there's two roles, but they're essentially the same thing. One of them was a peer tutor, so for
Mhm.
a lower division biology class, and then the other one I just got done with was a learning assistant
Yeah.
for another upper div biology class.
Yeah.
So that was that, and then uh, this is my most recent job that I have gotten, which is a behavior interventionist, which it's working in ABA, which is applied behavior analysis. Just
Mhm.
working with kids. It's working with kids with autism or Down syndrome, developmental disabilities, and
Right.
it's essentially almost the same role as the life coach role, but it's
Yeah.
with children.
Yeah. Okay. And so you've done 30 hours of that, and that was in 2020. But you're still
Oh,
doing that or not?
sorry. This is the dates are kind of wrong. I just started. I guess December 23rd, 2020 is when I started the job, and
Uh-huh.
I'm
Uh-huh.
still working it.
Okay. Okay. Good. So that's definitely now tell me a little bit more about what now is that what's the setting for that?
So it's in person. So I go to the clients' houses and
Uh-huh.
work with them on the goals set out by the therapist that's
Right.
on the case.
Uh-huh.
That's, and I was actually wondering. I know you probably get this question a lot. I was wondering if I could count that as clinical. I know it gets really gray.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was asking about that. Um, so when you go, you're not there at the same time that the therapist is there, right? You just interact with the therapist at other times, and then you go to the client's house and work on things that the therapist has set up.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I would say no as a safe, very conservative sort of position. I would say no, I would not count it as clinical, even though you're working directly with the client. Um, it's not in a clinical setting, and you're really not doing things that would be clinical in nature most of the time, probably, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm not working with like in the patient setting, I guess, as
Right.
a hospital or something.
Yeah. So I would say I think you've got it probably categorized the right way in terms of paid employment, non-clinical, non-medical, or clinical. So that sounds right to me. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Good. So let's take a look at your school list. Do you have some schools in there already that you're sort of interested in? Okay, great. So we've got a lot of California schools. Um, so you're thinking you want to stay in California or
Uh, Actually, I'm down for anything. To be honest, I just put all the California schools I wanted to because I know
right,
I've heard you say before that it's really good to apply to all your state schools. So
right. Yeah, I agree with that. So that's good. Yeah, let's keep going down. Sounds good. Let's look at page 2, all the California schools, and here's where you broaden out to um, other so you're applying DO as well. So you've identified quite a few DO schools also. Good, good. Yeah, and then several out on the West Coast. So you're interested maybe in the military option as well. It looks like.
yeah, I still need to do a little more research on that school. I know there's a military commitment. I think of at least 7 years.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's just something I put down. I still need to do a lot more research, but I was looking at
yeah,
the HPSP stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Certainly saves a lot of money.
Yeah, right.
Right. As in it's free.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So that's good. All right. And let's look at page 3 there. Just a few more over on the East Coast, New York and in Philly and Pennsylvania. So good. Okay. So that looks good. So these look pretty good to me. I think obviously I'm supportive of you applying to all the California schools. Makes total sense to me, as well as identifying other schools around the country that you're interested in for variety of reasons, whatever. And so that looks good. Now, in terms of the DO schools, have you interacted with an osteopath before, or shadowed one, or I guess not on the shadowing, but what about that?
I've interacted with a few at my clinical volunteering experience,
Uh-huh.
but it was I wouldn't call it direct interaction. Like I didn't know them by their name or anything. I was
Right.
around them when they were working. Um, so I know some DO schools require a letter of rec from a DO physician.
Right.
So I'm not sure if that'll be a problem this year or not.
Right. Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you have to know which of the schools that require that. And, if that's not something that you're going to be able to produce, then I wouldn't apply to those schools, just for that very reason. So that just requires a little homework on your end on, looking at what schools, you have to do that at, stuff like that. So cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Um, yeah. So if we could go back to your dashboard, great. And basically what I see here, Will, is you're a good student. You've got really great academic skills, obviously, and they seem to as it's sort of funny, and it's kind of what you mentioned earlier. It seems like as the classes are getting harder, you're getting better at them.
Yeah, I would say so. I think also the whether the professors meant it or not, I feel like some of them, the ones that I took over online school or Zoom college, might have been
Right.
just a little easier than they would be in person. But
Right.
so I wasn't sure if that was something that med schools would look at, like, oh, this he was kind of rocky in the beginning of college, but then Zoom, everything went online and he got a 4.0. If like, is that, I don't know if they'll question, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, and I don't think you need to worry about that. I don't think that it would be interpreted that way. I mean, regardless, everybody else is doing Zoom school as well right now, and certainly in 2020, and even this semester or quarter, there most schools are still doing either totally Zoom, schooling, or online schooling, or some kind of hybrid of it. So yeah, but I think they're gonna look at this and say he's rocking and rolling, and so that's good. So, but all in all, my conclusion here, Will, is that I really think you're ready to apply. I mean, I would go for it this summer. Get your application ready and get a good personal statement and that is going to really talk about your what's in your what you're passionate about, and how this kind of story has played out for you, and the things that you've really learned through your experiences, whether they're medical or not. Often, I'm thinking specifically about the life coaching thing, and just the skills that you've learned in dealing with those clients and working with them, and also the behavioral interventionist thing. I mean, these are great opportunities for you to learn how to interact with people, and how important with people is, and the power that that has for people. So and for and will for your patients. And so that's gonna be an important thing for you to talk about, I think, in the personal statement. And but all in all, I mean, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't go ahead and apply this year. I think in the optimal world, I think I would have said it'd be nice to have some shadowing experiences with with a DO, for example, or with other other practitioners who can kind of, so you can see them sort of in a one-on-one kind of way and see how they interact with the patients in a regular sort of fashion. But because of the pandemic, that's been difficult, if not impossible, to do, and that's totally understandable. So all in all, Will, I really don't see any reason why you wouldn't go ahead and apply this year, and I think you're ready. And what I would say is, keep up the good work, and certainly academically keep up the good work, but then also in terms of the actual employment that you're doing and the activities that you're going about, keep it up, and because you always want to, anticipate you're going to apply this year, and in the worst case scenario, you don't get in this year. What can you do this year, this application year, to improve your application for next year if that became necessary? And so, the best of all worlds is you're not going to have to worry about it. You're going to get in this year, and it's going to be great. You're going to be on your road to a great career in medicine. But you always want to think about what would that look like if I didn't get in. What can I do during this year to improve? And obviously that would be some stuff like additional clinical experiences, shadowing if possible, but certainly trying to get connected with a DO that you can really interact with, and hopefully get a good experience with them enough to have a letter from them. So, but that sounds, it looks to me like you should definitely move forward. So I hope that's good news for you.
Yeah, it's great news coming from you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope everything goes well. I think you're on your way, and some of the experiences that you've had, I'm just very, if I was your interviewer and I was looking through your application and saw the life coaching and the interventionist and some of the stuff that you've done, I'd be all over that. I'd want to talk about those things. And so, I think you should anticipate that when you do start getting some interviews, that you're going to be, asked about those things, and just really anticipate that you're going to be able to, talk about, the lessons that you've learned from those experiences and stuff. But best wishes to you, man. It sounds like it's going to be a interesting year for you, and I hope it's a successful year.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, take care of yourself.
I will. You too. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.